Here I am outside. Jack and I just finished breakfast this morning and we heard rain. So I thought, oh, great, it's orchid watering day, Wednesday, water day, and it's my week too, it's fertilizer, so I thought I'll put them all out, the big ones, out in the rain. Instead of carrying them to the shower, I carried them out here. Well, by the time I got them out here, no rain. There's a sun up there. But it did help clear some of the smoke, so it was the worst yet yesterday, and we didn't even brave to go out to town or out anywhere. It was pretty depressing, I have to tell you. So we were so happy with rain, and the air is fresher. There's smoke if you look that way, but maybe later today I'll show you. So anyway, I had to get my water jug, and I gave them all water first. Probably 2 jugs did them all. And then I mixed my fertilizer and calcium, magnesium, and Cali-Magic. And I came out and I did them all a few times. And still no rain, sunshine. Now, late today we were supposed to get thunder, lightning, rain, everything. Now, I hope we get more rain. This is just, I've seen some scary movies and it reminds me of them because no rain to speak of since April, and our lake, when you look where the wharf is dry. I mean, it's a big lake, and if you've heard about the forest fires in the shoe swap, I think they're calling it the bush fire. Oh, I forget what they're calling it, but it is on Shoe Swap Lake, but another arm of the lake. So that's why we're getting so much. This is near Sorrento, which is only a half-hour's drive from here. The fire moved right from one side of the highway to the other, and it was terrible. Anyway, enough of that. So anyway, here we are outside, and I've watered them. And I'm waiting for some rain. And I thought, well, at least there's a little more humidity. They're going to like that. Because I've watered the ones inside while I've been waiting for rain. And in the sink. And I think they've parted with a few extra leaves through all this dry and smoke before I brought them in. And I have a few videos I'm going to do, but I think, generally speaking, they're doing better because of that fertilizer I got from Cloud's Orchids in Ontario. I think I see a difference where some were going downhill. They perked up even in this weather. So I'm going to show you a quick close-up of these ones, and I'm hoping to join it up with another video later on today. So let's do that. Oh dear, I'm in my bare feet. We hope for the best. That's all we can do. Hope and, whoops, pray. See, now these 2 I'm thinking of repotting, but I haven't found the pots. Now, why? Because I was losing leaves. There's one that's come off here, and I always take this stuff off with a pair of pliers, which I'll do when I repot. But why? Why? And yet, since I've had that other fertilizer, the leaves, you be quiet. Now, you're not allowed to do that. I've noticed they have perked up, so why have they reacted? I thought they'd be happy, but it's a narrow container, so I just don't know. So I think I'll have to pull them both out, maybe leave one in here and one in a different pot. And here's another glass one. Hey, cut out. I'm very happy with these. Root growth is really... Maggie, you get back here and be a good girl. The root growth is really amazing. Now these are all bunched together and they've perked up also, I'm pretty sure, since the new fertilizer, which just because they're barking doesn't mean you do. No, 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 no. There. So here too we lost a leaf and I have to go in and pull that out because it only collects debris. But there's lots, it didn't lose its spike, so it hasn't been stressed too much, and there is a new leaf, and this was a fairly new leaf. So, a new leaf coming here. And this one has, this is the one that had a hangover leaf, and it lost the leaf, and I actually pulled it off this morning. So, actually, now it's not in the way, but still, this one is still a yellow, one of the original ones. But the rest, they're very healthy. Now, this is the last leaf. Yep, I'm thinking even here, even through our terrible weather, the dryness, I couldn't keep humidity over 40. I couldn't do it. So, I think this is part of the reason. And this is a fairly new leaf. And the root growth is really good. And these two were struggling when I put them in here. And look at this last leaf. And there's a nice one coming here. My dendrobiums, now, if we're going to do a video on dendrobiums soon, because I have to take these keikis off and repot them. And as you know, I lost one dendrobium, so I'm going to very happily have those little babies. And we'll have a whole video on dendrobiums. So that's it for out here. And pray for more rain, but I see some blue sky. Even blue sky is nice today. Isn't it, Maggie? Isn't it? You're going to be good, aren't you? Okay. I'll be back soon. Here I am. Come on in. Thought we'd sit at the table for a change. The watering got all done and it never rained again. We had our 10 minutes of rain, but hoping we get more. And today, they did get to stay out into some little more humidity than they're used to. And I'm leaving them inside because they've been moved in because of the smoke before. So they're all staying in now. And we'll discuss what I'm going to do to cool them down. Because in the fall, usually about Halloween, you want to make sure your orchids are getting 10 to 15 drop in temperature. Because they really do like that if they're going to flower for you. It's like turning on a switch inside of them. 2 to 3 weeks of, say, cooler temperatures, 10 to 15 degrees than what they're getting in the daytime. So usually I don't like to go below 50, but in the 50s is fine. And whether you have to do that outside on a patio or just leaving them, I've done it before, opening the windows a crack in the evening for a few weeks, and it does work. So now that we're talking about humidity, I'm going to repot another orchid. And Jack actually just drilled 3 holes in this glass vase this morning. So I'm going to have a good selection of glass and traffic cones. Those seem to be the things they're really booming in. Not that they're not doing good in some of my pots. The thicker walled porcelain pots will run through the orchids after I do this and show you. Hold in a little more humidity. Now, this is a great pot, and I was really excited when I got it. Of course, our winters are dry because we have a furnace on, and it's usually freezing cold outside. And this pot is, it's thin and it has lots of holes. And it's perfect for if you have a lot of humidity. This will dry out quicker, and that's the problem. I have been trying to water this poor thing, and I want to just show you how sad it is. I put it in here, and it was sad, but it's still sad. This leaves a little bit not bad, but the other two are quite limp. And this is Phal Fangmei Sweet. It's one of the orchids I got from Georgia some time ago. So she had sent me 3, and it's been in this pot, but it dries way too quickly for us, especially later. Usually in the summer we can get some humidity, but we have had no humidity since April practically, no rain. So I kept looking at this, and I have I think 2 or 3 more orchids I do want to repot, and I was trying to decide which one to do today, and this one looks so sad. I think I have to do it. The little roots that are growing, there's a couple sticking out there. It's already looking dry. So there's one root that looks good that's on the bottom, probably because a little bit of moisture settles in between the caved in area, and it's looking for it. The poor thing. So this bark is still good because it wasn't too long ago I repotted this, and I know I should date them, but I kind of go by looks of how the orchid looks and how the bark looks. So we're going to take it out, and I have been soaking a lot of bark because I know I'm going to be doing that 2 orchids in my big red pot, but not today because I have to make sure I have 2 pots that are going to suit it. Well, one could stay in that pot, but I still need another pot, and I thought this one was going to be a little small. So now first what we're going to do is, now if you have decided I don't know, I must have a half a dozen in glass now. And what I do, because they can get heavy if you're adding maybe lava rock inside, or I'm going to put some glass beads in the bottom of this one, just where the water well is, where water tends to sit a little more. And what I do is, I keep it on my drain board facing the sink, and I just tip it up like this. I don't have to pick it up and go like this. I just take it and I tip it over, and the water comes out. And not every drop has to, because it's adding. Why these vases are working for dry areas is because there's the 3 holes, and they're still getting air because the bark isn't that deep, and there's nothing else in the bark, just the bark. So air is getting through. And then we have some holes here where air can sort of change places. So, but what's happening is, and I think also with the traffic cones, the orchids that are in the traffic cones have been in them a long time, because they're actually in a big vase when they're in those traffic cones. Plus, even though the traffic cones have lots of holes, it's thick rubber, because they are traffic cones and they're out in the road and they get kicked and driven over by cars, and that helps hold the humidity in, and I think that's one reason they do so good in my traffic cones. And then they taper down, and it's still even holding humidity in where the pot doesn't go right to the bottom. So I think because of that, these will hold, they're a little bit bigger than, say, this. And I think this orchid will perk up and grow a little better in here because it's not going to have air drying it from all sides, all the way around. I have been watering it like crazy, and I'll look at it 2 days later and it still looks dry, so it's not working out too good for me. So what we're going to do is, if you do try this, it's probably a good idea to put a little horticultural charcoal in the bottom. Because of water, I didn't do that with the big catasetum because I didn't have any. But the catasetum is actually different care because you can take it out the pot for the winter and just let it dry off, and you don't water it. So, and then every spring you redo it because it gets a whole new growth. So different than your phals, which are staying in a mix. So I think because water will sit, it is best to add a little charcoal. Doesn't have to be a lot in the bottom where water might be sitting, and that'll stop any smells that might come or problems like that. This is Kingfisher's Pure Hardwood Charcoal to improve drainage, air circulation, and remove harmful impurities. So there we are. We have some charcoal in the bottom, and I'm going to put a few glass beads. I'm not going to go as far as the hole, but just on the very bottom, I'm going to put a few glass beads. I was thinking the bark could plug the drainage holes and the water won't come out, but I don't think that's going to happen. And if it did, I could always stick a skewer in there and wiggle a piece of bark away. But I am going to put a few little glass beads in the bottom. It's pretty. There's a big one. We'll put that one back in there. It's pretty. I like bling. Okay, there we go. They're nice and clean. I had them all washed. And now I think we'll just set this aside and we'll see what we've got here since we did this. And I forget the date, but I could look it up and put it in the comment section underneath in the description of the video. And also, I did get a hold of the company that does these orchids, the one that's staying in bloom forever. And they have made a little video, trying to think of their name. It'll be in the description under this video. And they did a little video of how they're growing their orchids, and they're different care altogether, and they use pine bark. I didn't know what bark it was, but it's pine bark, and it's a very interesting short video, so I'm going to put the link to it down below too, so you can watch it, because this is the first orchid I've ever had in bark. And I like to grow in bark, so it's a very big surprise to me. I have fir bark, but they do say that it's in pine bark, and in North America you can get a lot of pine bark. You don't have to send to New Zealand for it. So I have to research that because I didn't know that. So, and they use natural, they don't, I guess when most all of our orchids come in from other countries, they come in bigger. They get the smallest size possible for their orchids that they start with in Ontario. And they're all growing in Ontario from there, so they don't have to spray funguses on them and kill bugs and everything, because they use natural little bugs. It's very interesting, so I will link that. But anyway, let's have a look at this. Yes, it's a beautiful pot, and I know a lot of you went and got them and probably enjoying them, but if you're over 100 every day Fahrenheit and you're just dry, and this one did not go outside, it stayed in the house, and it was hot in the house, it was 90 every day, so it's got a little growth. I got the scissors ready here because there's a couple little things I'll cut off that I don't like. So there's a nice new root right there. But, and this I will leave the bark on. When it's stuck on there, I don't like to take it off. And then over here we got at the top a couple roots. And these are firm, but this one here I'm going to trim partly off. And I was looking at another one. Where was it? Because these roots can actually still send off a little shoot. So there's just a couple little spots I'll trim. And this bark is still good because it's been so dry and because it hasn't been in there that long. But I do have some extra bark. So there's one here that I'm just going to trim off. So probably right about there. And there was a little bit here. Right here. So that's about it. That's all I want to trim. It is sad, but I'm thinking it's going to love its new home and it's going to perk up quite a bit. So I'm going to put some new bark in, and I'm going to interlace the old bark in there too, because it's always like to leave a little bit of the bark that was with the orchid So I'll put there. And also, you know, the roots get light in the glass jars, which they don't get in my traffic cones, but the traffic cone orchids are healthy. There's no doubt about it. Okay. We have to go up quite a poor thing. It's just been stagnant, this orchid. And I thought, okay, you know, they seem to be doing really good. Now, you know, I'm not saying a year from now I might have found out different, but how they're looking, and I've got the first one I did in the window over here in a cone-shaped glass. It's been a year and it is thriving in there, so it's just the extra humidity that they're just not getting in a real airy pot. And of course the other porcelain pots I got, they don't have this many holes, but they're thicker also, which makes a big difference. So we're going to take this little baby, and it was watering day to day, and it still looks sad, and it's just not happy. It really isn't. So we're not eating too much spaghetti anymore, so I made good use of my spaghetti spoon. Oh, once in a while we say, okay, we're having some. But boy, we were having rice and spaghetti a lot. We don't do it too much anymore. We're low carbohydrate. There. I have, with my two orchids in the red pot, it's going to be challenging because there's a lot of roots that are not in the pot, and as you know, you're not supposed to put aerial roots inside the pot. Once they're aerial roots, that's what they like. And if you get them near the surface of a pot, well, that's pretty good. But if they're not, I think they'd be okay if they're fairly close to the surface. So I have to consider all that while I'm trying to decide when and what I'm going to put them in. Wow, I feel really good if this baby turns around and becomes very happy. I usually put them in and I let the bark go down, and then I slowly just pull them up a little bit. Reminds me when I had it just reminded me, honestly. When I used to, I had my Naui scuba diving ticket on the coast, and I could never get into my wetsuit. Oh, what a chore. And they'd have to pick me up and shake me. Well, that's kind of what I do with this. I just slowly pick it up and shake. I have to put some baby powder in the suit and shake me into it. Now they say don't use baby powder anymore. I'm glad I didn't use it lots. Apparently it's not a good thing. Of course, everybody used it for babies. Now they're saying it's a carcinogenic. Gee, that's life for you. Just don't know. See, now it's a little low, but not too much. And I'll just slowly give it a little pull. It's already looking happier, so I don't want it to be too low. I don't put anything on the top. I tried many years ago, but I just leave the bark. And I found the roots that are up near the top, they're just as happy as the ones down near the bottom. So, the one root that was really long is out there getting some light, which is kind of nice because it was getting light because it had the see-through pot. And the rest in time will grow down and be quite happy. Now, yes, there's a difference in your weight between this one and this one. And you have to consider all these things. Now, the other thing I could have done, but it kind of, if I put this in a pot that had no holes, well, it would help hold the humidity in, but it's kind of wasting the idea that you have a bunch of holes, because it's almost like you don't have, and you're not getting the light in there that you would if I just sat it like that. So that's the other thing. Yes, these are a little heavier, but like I say, if you're trying to drain water, you just tip it on its side. It has its advantages because you don't need a saucer under it, because the pot itself is its saucer. Because after you water them, it will come through. So, I want to show you through the orchids, and thanks for joining me. And I should have a couple more videos coming quite shortly because I have a lot of bark soaking. Okay, let's go check this out over here. Take this off. Okay. This is the first glass one I did over here. And it's happy. And it was outside in all that heat. And the leaves are good, plus it's getting a new leaf. So this is its last new leaf. And the roots are good. So all of these were outside. There's my mini pot. Look at that. So that one's doing good. It's been in there a long time. And the hole for this one, and there's a little root in that hole, is right at the bottom of the container, which now I'm making them a little higher. And that little root went all the way down, and it says I'm coming out. So, and I noticed even if it was so dry, I did get some pleating here on the Miltassia. I don't know, I may be repotting her too. So, time will tell. So this is this corner. This is the north side. And then over here, hid in the back corner, I had a little orchid that quite some time ago I told you had white kind of stuff on it way down at the base of the plant. And I segregated it for a long time, and I haven't seen any sign of it anymore. It's just dried up, I think, and gone away. But I did have to spray it with hydrogen peroxide a couple times. So, and this little one, it seems quite happy in here, and it's a perfect little glass vase. So, and these pots, they have not as many holes for the size of the pot. From here to here, no holes. And I think they hold a little better. They're good pots. I've liked them. My orchids have always done good in that type. And up here, Alphinia is sending out another bloom and another one to come. So I don't have these misters on right now, so we'll go around. And here is this orchid. Still no sign of, not even one flower has fell. Just totally amazing. And it seems to be very happy in its new pot. The roots are doing good. And of course, this traffic cone, lots of leaves. These are the old original leaves. It even got a little thing from sitting on the edge of the pot. And this is the one that has the big spike coming from last winter's spike. It was in flower in March, about just after February. And this traffic cone, and their roots get hanging out, and I won't take them out of the pots anymore. I just shake the bark out and give them some more. It is growing like a weed. And look how much bigger the newest one is over last year's. Well, I'm hoping I get flowers. And I've noticed lots of little roots. They're very tiny, but I've noticed there's lots of roots. Hard to show you, but so this one has a nice new leaf coming. And here we are with these pots again. And this one has lots of leaves. Just had a new leaf, and it's in spike. And this is one I've been babying, and it's got 2 new shoots because it was one that wasn't going to make it. And I put it in the red pot that I had. I won't try and pull it out with have an accident here. So these have all the misters on because it is so dry. And this is the one that was outside. They were all outside, those big ones. And in here, and this one here, this one, the last ones I did, and it's doing good. So we have a few, but it's all these aerial roots I have to consider when I repot them. But I'm thinking, they were telling me they weren't happy, but the new leaves are very good. So, but I still think I ought to take them out and redo something. So, and this one in the traffic cone, this is the one that had an accident and I had to cut half the leaf off. And this traffic cone also, good roots. They seem very happy in the traffic cones, almost like they're in the crotch of a tree. So anyway, thank you for joining me, and I'll show you outside at the sun. What sun? We had more sun this morning. There's a big truck outside. I think they're looking for water mains or something. So anyway, yeah, the rain helped the smoke a bit. because it's lighter. We can see the mountains, but it's still not perfect. So thanks for visiting with me. Bye for now.